I've recently seen content where people are writing their own books, they're actually excited where they're editing it. And I've seen some where people receive the first copy of their book ever. And it really is exciting. It doesn't stop getting exciting. Believe me, I love it when I get a paperback of my book. I haven't done a hardback of my latest one yet. I'm not sure if I'll continue doing those, but it might be worth my time to do that as well. But what I thought I'd do is just share. I mean, I've done it in other videos. I'm not sure what depth I did in those videos. But I thought I'd just share my process to a degree and maybe it'll help people because, I do things different to, I think, most people, but it doesn't mean my way works for everyone. But I think the more ways we hear about, maybe we find things that could potentially work. So I've only got two examples here. I've just got one where the guy received his book and the other one where this person's in the editing phase. And I just want to share some of the tools I use. It's not expensive. And I think, again, if you're interested in writing a book, this is going to be, I think what I can show is going to be helpful because ultimately, I said, I've got 7 books and this is the latest one. So how did we create that? It's going to be quite important, isn't it? So let's get on with what we've got planned here. So for the rest of the video, I'm going to have to remove this big out now book because it's going to ruin the overlay, and I'd rather help people than promote. Let me just try and find a way to get rid of this a minute. Right, so from now on, we're not going to have that. We're going to that will get the overlay on the right hand side. They'll get sorted anyway. So let's just get this up. Oh, it's not really. Let me just move that one over because that's going to do my head in. To be totally honest, having that overlay in the way, not going to be the best thing. Right, okay. So I've got the 2 videos. So this guy. Right, I'm going to take the audio off because I end up copyright issues. So he's received a copy of his book for the first time. Like I said, always exciting. And he's put this, I know some people will think this is cringe, lame, whatever. And yes, I know self-publishing isn't as impressive as traditional publishing, but this means a lot to me. I've worked so hard. Little me is very proud. I've liked it and reposted it because mine's I've done self-published work. I've no interest in trying to impress a publisher, for instance. Doesn't mean I wouldn't work with one in the future. I don't know. But, I don't think it matters whether someone's in the industry has approved of your work or not. I don't think that really is the barometer of whether something is successful or whether you should be proud. So I think the fact that he's had to do that, I just think shows the snobbery in the industry to a degree. The fact that they've had to caveat that and stem the expectation to a degree, should be proud. Should be absolutely be proud. So yeah, I mean, everybody's going to have their own way. When you go self-published route, people can have their own way they want to publish their books and how they go about creating everything and whatnot. See, it says Ingram Spark. I don't use Ingram Spark. I prioritize using Amazon as a distributor. I like their print quality. I think it's fair pricing and pretty much Amazon's everywhere anyway. I do have a secondary outlet if I need to, but for the most part, I find that Amazon solves my needs really. Some people use other places so they can get maybe in stores and all those things, but it does impact your ability to earn decent royalties. But again, I'm not going to get into all the ins and outs of that, the business side. That's a totally different thing entirely. But again, I think it's do your research and figure things out for yourselves. So yeah, let's have a look. I've got to turn the volume off, unfortunately, because the music's just killing it. I know how he feels. I don't because I've got an itch, but I know exactly how he feels. And he's chose a glossy cover, which is really important because my first drafts of my books were all matte before. I didn't really like matte. Glossy is definitely the way to go. I love that he's put his face on the back as well because some people hide themselves. I've done it with mine. So all mine have my face. They're the same photo on every single book. So yeah, I mean, look, how is that a cringe? He's just achieved something that so many people don't achieve, Incredible. His hair matches the cover of the book and his shirt. Look, I don't know if he's done it on purpose. So that's that one. I've only got another one. So this one is this is where people have their different ways of operating. What this person's doing isn't how I work at all, and it's just what works for them is great. So what they've put there is this is your sign to get your first draft printed as a book for editing. So what they're saying is as you go to start your editing process, purchase a copy of that book and then edit in that book. For me, that's a lot of effort, and it's just something I couldn't work like that personally. I prefer to work live. So if I'm editing something, I'd rather make the changes now. I don't want to sort of like make loads of marks everywhere and then have to go and figure it out after and figure out where I am on the page, and that's a whole headache for me. I'd rather read paragraph at a time, either in the software I use, or I'll read it on. I've lost it now. Wait a minute. Or I'll read it on my Kindle. As you can see there, this one here is the latest book. And I'll read it. I'll read it there and just read it out like I'm reading a Bill book. It's easy. I don't have to wait for a print. It doesn't cost me money. And like I say, I can sit there and read it like that. And then I can have the software open at the same time and just keep changing it. But in the end, I don't do it this way so much anymore. I just do it in the software, just read. It's simpler. But again, each to their own. If this works for them and they absolutely enjoy the process, I say all for it. But for me, it's a case of by the time you've marked a book, you could have just edited the work in the first place. So, but again, each their own. I'm not sure. I think we're going to get music. Yeah, forget it. But the one thing I picked up on, and I had to go and rewind again because I did notice something with the formatting. So I did leave a comment. Whether it's taken positively or not, I've got no idea. I didn't mean it in anything rude. Oh, can't get it. I noticed the formatting wasn't. We got this within the formatting of our of word processors, for instance. We get left, so your text stays to the left. You got the right, you got central. But you need when you do a book, it has to be justified. It means it conforms the left hand side and the right hand side, so it feels like one line like this the whole way down. You don't get jagged edges. And I noticed it. I noticed it immediately, but I had to rewind a little bit, and I noticed all their work was justified. Wasn't justified. So I just made the point that when you finish it, you need to make sure it's justified to keep it conforming. Whether they like that or not, I don't know. But I just thought I'd lend them my advice, because it will be, if you don't do that, it will be incredibly amateurish. Like, people might not like that, but that's just the way it is. Pick up any book, and the text will be. It will conform the whole way down the page. You see this? You don't see the jaggedy edges. You shouldn't have. That would be very amateurish. I made that mistake in my first book, by the way, so I've learned from experience. Hadn't thought of that, did that, and I've received the book, and I thought, this doesn't seem right. Then I looked and I thought, wait a minute. Oh, right, well, let's go and fix this problem. So again, this is if you forget the formatting now, it's what they've done. I don't know if I'm going to do it. But they've got marks all over their pages on the bits they were working on here. I just pick up on little things. And it's just all this work. I don't know how much you can see on the screen there, but all these marks and all that work, that's going to be a headache and a half. Instead of sitting there writing on that and doing all that, it's been a lot easier to have your word processor open or whatever software you're using and just edit it. Just whatever you're thinking there, just go and do it now. Then it's done live, isn't it? It's done. The idea that you do all that work, then have to sit there and go through it page by page. Oh my God, I couldn't do it twice. You're doing it twice. And it's just, for me, it's a bit of a headache. I don't see the point. I'd rather just have the physical copy when it's finished. But that's just me. I mean, everyone's going to have their own way of operating. But seeing that made me think, I'll explain a little bit of how I create my books, and maybe it'll help people. Because, there are different ways to do it, but there are, I think, ways to work faster. Like, I do mine when I'm focused. I can get mine done so quick. But again, I do things in a way that's just more, I think, streamlined of time. By the time you do it their way, you've got to have to order the book. It's going to have to get printed. It's going to take time to come. I don't know how long. Let's say it takes a week. Well, that's a week you could have been working on it. So I don't have time to waste with all that. And let's say you've got so much notes that it's covered all the page and you've got no room to keep making changes. We're going to order another copy of a book. There's only so much room on a page. It's already filled with the original text. And that's just the way I am. Like, that, for me, that's just counterproductive. If you just do it, like I said, live like I do, then you can have the actual copy quicker. So next time when you actually hold it in your hand, it's finished. Anyway, so that's that. So let's go on to some of the software because I think this is important. Everyone's going to have their own preferences of software. For me, I use Scrivener. It does cost, of course. It's about £50, I think. It might be more. I can't remember now. And I love it so much. I have it on Windows and Mac, and they're both different licenses. So they don't carry over. If you buy a Windows license and you then get a MacBook, you're going to have to buy a Mac license. But that's how much I love it that I will do that. So if anyone's thinking of writing a book and you're thinking of using this software, think of the platform you're going to want to use before you buy a license. It does come with a 30-day trial. And the good thing about their 30-day trial is it's 30 days of actual use. So it's not a case of if you start on the 1st of January, it expires on the 30th of January. It's actual days of use. So if you only use it 2 days in the first week, you've still got 28 days left whenever. You know, and that's really good because if you could do a book in a month, for instance, then you get using the software for free. Just saying. But it doesn't cost that much. I think it's like about £60, I think, ish, give and take. So again, that's what we're going to talk about platform. I'm recording this on my PC. I've got the software installed. I recently just installed it just for this video, but I prefer to do books on a MacBook. Macs are reliable. They've got a high battery life, and I can just write wherever I want. If I'm sitting in bed and I want to do a little bit, I can do it. If I want to sit on a sofa, I can do it. If you're traveling, you can do it there. And that's really the only reason. I've done some of my books I've done on Windows. But it's the fact that I don't really want to be stuck sat at a desk. I'd rather have the freedom to move about. So the Mac works handy. When I adapt the original manuscript to the format for book, I always do it on the computer. I feel more comfortable. I've got more available to me. I've got a bigger screen. It just gives me a little bit more productivity there. So I never use Word on a MacBook, although it doesn't mean you can't. I just don't. I do all the formatting, the cover design for the book and everything on a Windows computer. That's really just my preferences. But again, it doesn't really matter. It's just be aware of whatever tools you want with the licenses, of course. So that's Scrivener. Like I said, you get a free trial anyway. Now, people have use their own tools. Some people use Google Docs. I don't use it. I've never used it. So again, I'm not familiar. I can only talk what I'm familiar with. I like Microsoft Word. Anyone knows anything about Microsoft Word of late, it's tied behind this bloody subscription paywall that's getting more expensive, and it's just a monthly subscription or you pay annually and stuff, and it's really expensive. I think it's ridiculous for what it is. You know, it's something that you should. Well, you originally had one license and that was it. And you used to be able to get it cheap enough. You still can. People don't realize. Or you can use the web browser version for free. But again, if you're producing a book, you just want to be able to do it offline. You want to be able to do it in your own space on an app. So what I did the free trial to do my book, but I got annoyed in the end because I was like, I just want to be able to have this software always available without having to keep jumping on licenses. So I have done it a different way. Rather than pay this monthly subscription I've gone here, I've trusted these in the past, so they are reliable. CJS CD keys. If you just type that into Google, CJS CD keys. I have Windows licenses for this. It works perfectly. So I bought copies of a Windows license for my computer from here. Never had an issue. So a month or so ago, I bought Microsoft Office. If you look here, it's £10.49. That's all it cost. They say the original price is $54.99. I don't even know if it's still available through Microsoft themselves because they're pushing out that subscription model. So what will happen here is they'll give you a link. I'm not going to show my license, of course, but they'll give you a link. It's different to the link for the subscription model version, but it's pretty much the same thing. So you do it the way that it is because, again, it's an older version of Microsoft Office. That's all it is. It's not like it's dodgy. It's just an older version of Microsoft Office, but it's still pretty much modern. 2024, it's not that old. And then you'll get the license, you'll put the license in, and it'll activate it. If you ever have any future issues with Microsoft Office, for instance, and it says it's unlicensed, just put the key in again, and it activates it again. So it is not a problem. It says there's 300 in stock right now. But again, one day that might dry up. They might not be able to get it. And I think for £10.50 to have a lifetime license, come on. I'm not paying them $5.99, $10.99, whatever it is a month. Just pay the one license and keep it. And that's really what it is. It says it works with Windows 10, 11, and there's different versions. You can get the standard or the pro. You don't need this pro, boy, I think it is. It's just standard's fine. But anyway, that's what I use, yeah? So we've got the two softwares. We've got Scrivener I use to write my manuscript because I can move the chapters around easier. You'll see in a minute the workflow is just so much easier with that. And then I use Microsoft Office or Word specifically for the manuscript. Again, both have their strengths, both completely different softwares. And and I'm quite transparent about it, I do use Grammarly for editing. I don't have the resources to hire an editor. So let's just make it a bit easier on myself. I'll use Grammarly to help pick up the odd thing. And what it actually helps with, it helps educate you on improving your grammar too. Because if you find, usually if there's something wrong, it's usually a repeated thing that you're maybe lacking. So it makes you start identifying it more and more. So for instance, when I did my first book, maybe there's more issues than in the new book. Because, maybe I was a bit more of an amateurish at that point. But so it helped. And then, of course, you're getting your grammar's improving with time. Now, some people might not like it. They consider AI. For me personally, I don't use AI in anything apart. I use Grammarly. I don't use AI for anything. I don't go looking for AI. I don't use chat shit. I don't care. Not into it. Grammarly, I just think similar to a spell checker. It's similar to thing. So if anyone thinks, oh, this is heavy AI, that's up to people. It says it there, free AI writing assistant. But I don't consider it AI. I consider it like spell checker. It's not writing the book for me. It's just picking up issues that can maybe be changed. You can maybe say, change that word for this, or just switch the sentence around a little bit. You don't always agree. I don't. I argue with it all the time. No, I prefer what I'm doing. I'm keeping it. I don't want to sound like a robot. So if it helps with something and I think that's improved it, okay. If I don't like it, I won't take the change. But as you can see here, it says trusted by 50,000 organizations and 40 million people. It's very popular. So it's been around a long time. This is the free version. I do tend to get an annual pro subscription. It's about £120. If you find the right discount codes, you can Google it, or sometimes they'll send you an email. And I don't pay full price. I get it for about £60 for the year, and you get the pro, and it's a lot better. Because again, we want the best version, don't we? So anyway, I'm always transparent about that. I've got nothing to hide with that. I can't afford to hire an editor, and I wouldn't have the patience for the turnaround anyway for someone to do it for me. So I can do the work myself, and it just helps streamline it a little bit. So they're my apps: Scrivener, Word, Grammarly. So we'll come off this now. Let's have a little look at Grammarly. So we just finished all that up. Now, I'm not obviously going to give away my whole manuscript here. So unfortunately, the way I've cut the video at the top, the display, because I have to sometimes for security reasons, but certain like if there's information at the top of a web browser and things like that. So I'm not going to change it now because I'll forget and I won't know the numbers. So you're just going to have the menu's just unfortunately going to have to be missing off this clip. And if that happens on any of the other clips, it's going to have to. I can't be changing it because it'll be a mess. So anyway, this looks slightly different to the one on the MacBook, but not much different. For instance, these colors are far more bold. They're a bit more rounded, I think, on the Mac. Again, it's subtle differences. This software can do so much. You've got notes over here. If you're writing a novel, you can do character development. There's so much to this that I don't even touch. But what I like is that the fact that I can make a folder. It's easy as anything. You make a folder, and then under the folder, you just add a text document to go inside it. And then within our settings, for instance, you can start adding, you can make it so you can color code these. At first, it'll be a little dot. And then, but in the settings, you can actually make it cover the whole line. So I'll do that in phases. For instance, if I'm working on a specific chapter, I'll make it blue. So I remember where I left off. Oh, I'm working on that chapter. If it's finished, like I finished a draft of it, I might make it purple or something. If I feel a chapter needs work, there's a lot of problems with it, I'll make it red. So I know, that one needs fixing. Or yellow means it's nearly done. Green means it's ready to print. And I'll do that throughout. Now, I'm someone who edits as I go. I can't, for the most part, there is sometimes a huge edit at the end, or there often is. But for the most part, I would usually edit as I go because I don't like reading mess and it hurts me. So if I left it and kept moving forward, I think first of all there would be an exaggerated confidence that the work is great, and then you'll have a huge come down when you go back to read it and it's an absolute mess and every chapter's a mess. That's not a nice feeling to have. I think to move on to another chapter knowing that chapter's great gives you confidence, keep moving forward, in my opinion. And then when you go back at the very end, you can be proud. Otherwise, you're going to have to keep reading the book over and over again. You get sick of it yourself. No matter what book it is, you'll get sick of it if you keep reading it and reading it and reading it. So if you sloppy at the beginning, you have to do another read, and then another read, then another read. You get fed up fast. And it's a lot of work to get through. So I just think streamline the process. If you've just done a chapter, I just go over it quick. Even if you just do it briefly and just make it a little bit better than what it was. Just do it, you know. I know some people might think it kills the rhythm. For me, it doesn't, because it helps cement what you've just wrote. So when it follows, what you do next, follows on nicely. Otherwise, I think you could just lose train of thought and the whole book could come disjointed. You don't even realize what a mess it is. So anyway, I work on it as I go. Just trying to think now. So like I say, because you can just drag and drop these. See this chapter here? You can just move it. So I can drag that. I try not to mess about too much because I don't want to lose track where that chapter is. I know it's half the time, right? Because I want to keep everything together even though I've finished the book. Let's say I move it there. See, I can move it. It can just shift. Now it's underneath trauma. I can push that back now and put it under time. And I can do that. Then what's happened here is I've got loads of chapters. Some didn't even make it. These ones all down here, these are chapters that are not even in the book. At one point, I just got all the chapters, just shifted them out, and then I just figured out which ones I want to work with. And that's how I ended up doing the book. Like, what do I want this to say? What chapters do I want in this book? And I'm really happy with it. So there's work there that perhaps I could create another book later if I wanted to go near it. I don't think I will. So that's fine. Just let that go. Within this tool, we can see how many pages, how many words we got. I like to do between 50,000 to 80,000. I think 60 is a good sweet spot. Either way, though, I'm happy as long as the book's what I want it to be. The word in count isn't so huge. So when I finished this book, we finished on 56,164. Now, I could have been weird and just said, it has to be 60. Minimum 60. Then I'm just going to make myself extra work for no reason. If I feel the chapters covered everything and I'm happy with the quality, that's fine. 56,000 is still a decent number. So for me, I'm happy with that. It is more than. Again, it's produced this. People don't sit there going, "Oh, how many hours is in that?" It's fine. 56 is more than fine. So that's the software. I mean, of course, I can only show so much of it. What would happen here is you do all this. I'm going to forget things, of course. Like, make sure you've got the right spell checker in place. That took me a hassle just now trying to figure out where the hell's the spell checker. Otherwise, it's going to keep, like, if you're British like I am, you're going to get American dictionary and it's going to drive you nuts because every time you write judgment, for instance, it takes the E out of the middle of it. So it would say JUDG and then it would do MENT, but it'll miss it doesn't, after the G, there's no E. But in the UK dictionary, we'd have an E after it, after the G. So it's judgment. And I'm like, this is doing my head in. I know how it's set. I know how I'm supposed to spell it, and it's telling me I'm doing it wrong. And that's not wrong. So what'll happen is you'll end up Americanizing your own vocabulary because you're so used to being manipulated by the app. And it's like, I can't do that. I'm not. You could do, of course, if you want to work towards a specific audience, but I would never do that. I'm only ever going to write in British English because I'm refused. I'm not changing it. So what you got to do is go to File and then go Options. Then you go down to Spelling here. And that, like, originally I had the American one, English United States. It didn't have the UK. So I had to go here and download. And it's got all different languages, which I think is pretty cool. I mean, again, it's a spell checker, though, so I don't think it would translate all your work. Because that'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it, if you could just highlight everything and translate it into a different language. But yeah, so you just do English and then do, like, if you are English, and you'd pick the version you want, say. So I had to do the United Kingdom above the United States. and then it stops flagging the words that I didn't need flagging. Then when we finished with all of this, let's say you're really happy with everything, you're good to go. You'd press this. Oh, you can't see it. There's an enter. There's like an arrow button at the top. It's a compiler, and you can do all sorts of things with this. You can do your files, like page sizes and all sorts. It's easier just to do the closest thing you're going to do formatting. I'm pretty sure mine is 5.25 inches by 8 inches, I think. I'm sure it is either 8 or 9 inch. I think it's 8 inch. I'm sure it's 5.25 inch by 8 inches, which isn't an option on Scrivener. So you just do the one closest to it, and then you just do a little bit of extra manipulation in Word. So we've done the manuscript here, yeah? We've just typed it all up from a blank page. We had a blank canvas. We started typing away, mind our own business. You probably noticed what I've said about, where I've said about justifying your font. You could probably do it here and it'll speed the process up. So what that is, see the jaggedy edges. We do this one, look, it will straighten it up. And that's what you want the whole way through the book. I'm not sure if it's just because I've got the Windows version and it sort of cancelled it out. But I'm going to leave it here. And then we're going to jump over to Word. You can see what I've done with Word. So what I haven't shown here is the editing face with Grammarly. But I've disabled Grammarly for a minute because it does my head in. Sometimes if I'm not interested, like I've already done the book, I don't need any more hints and suggestions. Because sometimes that will happen with Grammarly. You'll finish the book, everything, and it won't come up with any more suggestions. And then you'll come back, open it up a few days later, and it will say, oh, we could change this, you could change that. There's always going to be an alternative word. There's always going to be an alternative way to structure a sentence. Sometimes you just got to look at it and think, am I happy with it? Is that how I wanted to convey my message? I'm not going to take every suggestion every time it offers me an alternative. So, yeah, that asks you to be a robot in the end. If you just keep saying yes, 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 it won't even make sense. So anyway, let's go over to Word now. I've got two apps open, one in my one. Follow your dreams to sparkle your soul. So now we've got everything set up in Pages. Sometimes you're going to have to create a page of your own. So, for instance, you might have to just click on something here, and then we want to go on Insert. So I can't show you the menu at the top, unfortunately. You've got Home, Insert, Design, Layout, all those things. You would just do Page Break and Blank Pages. That's all you just keep doing. Page Break, Blank Page. You want to get your layout right, though. So you will have to go into Layout, and then you can do Page Size. So you can't see here, unfortunately. If I do that, Layout Size, we can get that up. Okay, more paper sizes, I think it is. Yeah. So this is what you do. You'd say more, so you go Page Layout, and then Sizes, then you do your page setup. And you can do it all here. In fact, I didn't do that. I think I did Margins. Custom Margins. Oh no, it was page layout as well. Yeah, so you'd have to say the page size, which you can do it in inches. You don't have to do the centimeter, but it's easier to convert it on and figure out what the centimeters is and just do that, and then it just solves a problem. And then just make sure you don't, when he says apply here, make sure you do entire document, because there's no point making it fit that page and then the next page is out. Just do the entire document. And then we've got on the inside, I've done 2.4 centimeters. Some people have less. The real problem is if you do it too short on the inside, when you open the page of the book, let's say you do this. Oh, you can't really see the text. If I made that shorter, the deeper you get into the book, the harder it's going to be to read. Then words will start moving in here too much, and you'll end up having to keep splitting the book just to read. Again, learned that the hard way of my own books early on. I now want a good gap there, so I don't have to worry. It does my head in. So anyway, these are my numbers, what I use. People can do what they want. You can add, like this bit's at the top, your headers. So alternate pages. So I've got the title of the book and then my name. You could, in whatever way you want to do it, you could have the name of the chapter instead of your name or instead of the name of the book. It's up to people what they want to do with it. Everyone's, when it comes to formatting, you're going to want to do it however you want your book to look. For me, mine can form from the first book to the 7th book. They all have the exact same structure. And I made that. That's what I've done, so. And I've gone back at times to older books to bring them up to speed so they all conform. Because for me, that's important. So some of the things you'd want to do, of course, is put your name and the title at the front. The app should do it, but you might change the font. I change all my fonts. So I'll just explain what I use. That one says Times New Roman actually for the title. Maybe I didn't change the title for some reason. Yeah. Oh, I didn't change the text on this bit either. I probably should have done, but I don't think it matters. Let me have a look a minute. Grammar. Yeah. So that text is actually different. That's going to be an interesting look at because I've probably just overlooked it. It doesn't matter because I don't think it's not really obvious. That isn't a bad little text, to be honest. Palatino. Again, people can have their own. Times New Roman's popular. I like Garamond and I like Baskerville. So if we go on my name there, it's Garamond. This one here is Garamond. And I've done 20 for the title, but you wouldn't normally have it that big. This one is Palatino. I must have forgot to change the font, but in the actual book, it looks nice. So I don't mind. If we actually go on a proper page, let's go on a page. So my title is Garamond, and the text is actually Garamond. But if I quote something, I'll change the text to that Baskerville, I think it is. I haven't got a quotation I can copy from actually at the minute. Is there any bit where I've quoted anything? I don't think we're going to find anything. It's going to be hard for me to find a specific chapter with it. All right, we're not going to be able to. It's going to be too messing about. I'm not even going to go there. So you're going to want to do a copyright page. I write first edition, and I write the year the first edition was printed, and I'll make it clear that it's the paperback first edition. It's just little bits because you might change it later, and then you can say it's the second edition. So you say the first edition published it this year. This is the second edition published it. It's just little things because you might go back and make changes later. And the copyright, the year. Make sure you write all rights reserved to make sure you just dictating that you have the rights. And then it's especially for Amazon or any of them really, you should put the ISBN, so the barcode number you'd put as in the paperback page. And then if you've got multiple books, you can list them. You can make a list of them. You can do a dedication. Table of contents, really important, really important. I used to write that out manually. Then I realized a simple thing. I can't show the menu bar, unfortunately, but all you do, highlight the title, because it doesn't always work through Scrivener when you bring it over to Word. And all you do is just select title from the menu bar at the top. And then eventually you do all the titles with that formatting. And then you can create your own table of contents in the menu system. And you can customize it. And what you might notice here, which you probably won't without me saying it, everything's an odd number. And that's interesting for me because that helps me know that I've got it right. Because it's a personal thing with me. And everybody have their own way of doing things. I only like I only like chapters starting on the right hand side because it makes it easy for me. So if I'm flicking through trying to find a specific chapter, it's just so much easier if I'm just going and it's just on the right hand side. I don't have to keep turning my head like this. I don't like it. I like chapters to start on the right. I don't know if that's common, but it's what I do. So for me, it's important that they all on the same structure there. So if one was an even number, I would know the sequence is out. And I started from here. So I start, because I know when you open a book, the title page it's on the right. I mean, it might look left here because it's probably reversed for the camera. You open a book, it's obviously empty there, and then the first page is there. So I want every major thing to start on that side of the book. So that stands to reason then that every other page should be a gap or it's secondary. So we've got the title, gap, copyright, gap, book titles, like list of books. Then I've got gap. Then I've got a dedication, gap, table of contents, and then gaps to get to the author note where I've started an author. You don't always have to do an introduction. Author note is personal preference. But again, then we start on this page. So it should either be to the title. So these pages now should either start on this block here or this one here. There shouldn't be any in this one or this one because they're even numbers. So we come down. It'll be this block or the other block. There you go. That one. And then that one. And that's something I make sure to do. That drives, again, I learned the hard way with that. That can drive me nuts. And then, like I said, with the justifying, if you look at all the font, it's all conforming. There's the only indent is when obviously there's not enough words on that thing to drag it over. But that'd be the end of a paragraph. So it'll only ever be the end of a paragraph that doesn't reach the end. But everything else does. because it looks absolutely terrible if you don't do it like that. And all it does is manipulate the spacing between the words. And, that's just what happens. That's all it does. Oh, get on my nerves that it does. So people are going to want to do however they want. I put at the very end of mine, I put pictures of my books. It's hard with Word. It's really hard to get these the same. I give up personally. It just does my head in. You start moving it, it just starts moving everything. It's just crazy. But that's what I do. I don't know what more I can really show with that, to be totally honest, because we've done the formatting in Scrivener. So the formatting was done there. That's how we wrote the book. Then we bring it over to Word so we can start thinking about printing the book. So the main things we want there is just to get the page set up right. So we've got the page size. Again, if you go over to, I don't know how Ingram Spark works and some of the others, but with Amazon, for instance, you go KDP, then you do paperback. They'll give you an option for book sizes. Like I said, I like this size. So mine's 5.25 inches by 8 inches, I'm pretty sure. And then I choose a glossy cover. And then it gives you a template for the cover later, but it just means that I know the numbers I need. So I know page size wise in here, let's do 5.25 by 8 inches. If it's asking for centimeters, I mean, you can just do IN. So the number dot, 5.25 space IN, and now convert it to inches anyway. But or you can just Google it to find out the difference, add to the number. What is centimeters in inches, So we do that. Then we make sure the margins are right. That'll be trial and error to a degree. You're going to have to figure that out. You're going to have to look at your pages. Again, make sure when you do changes that you choose the entire document. Do not do this section. I learned that the hard way as well, because I thought I was doing the document. I was just doing that page. So just make sure that entire document. And then we do the table of contents, and then we do this. And like I say, we can do the headers. There's one thing that throws me off and it gets me angry, and it can bother me for a while, because again, if let's say you do a book a year, you might, even if you've mastered it so many times, you still haven't done it for a year. So you come back to it, you might forget the little tricks. One of them is this bloody numbering at the bottom. For instance, I don't need number 1 starting on the title page. It looks ridiculous. You shouldn't have all that. You shouldn't have number 1 until you start in the book. So like for me, author's note, but some people might say it should only start on chapter 1, which I would probably argue makes sense actually. I'm not sure. I think normally I would do that actually. Yeah, really I should have done. That might be a little oversight on my side. Because normally I do, when you go from here to there, I usually change these to Roman numerals. Let me just see. Yeah, I have actually done that this time for some reason. I probably should have done that actually. I'm not going to go into. I could publish a new version. I might change that. I'm not sure if it does a page break, because what you could do, you can do a break in the note. It's a whole headache. This. Let me see if I can do it. I can't remember if I can do it now. Different first page. Give the first page a different header and footer from the rest of your document. So it says section 5 here. What you need to do is break the sections up. So somehow you need to make that a page break. I'm not sure. I think we're going to have to do... Oh, see, these are... Well, might have to Google it. This gives me a real headache sometimes. The link to previous is what we need to do. So we take the link. Do you want to delete this header and connect it to the previous section? No, I don't want to do that. The problem is, if I was to delete this one, for instance, we go back. Let's say I go, right, I want to delete that number. It will delete all of them. Anyone on that number. So it's deleted now, all the odd numbers for some reason in that section. Look, nothing there, but you got them there. We obviously don't want that. Different first page. Let me just... This one. It's not. I can't remember how to do it. I would be able to fix it, but I can't be bothered right now. It's giving me a headache. It's probably so simple because it's usually a page break, and then you do a footer. It's a footer break, and then you can make these ones Roman numerals instead. It just separates it a bit. I don't think I'm going to go through the hassle because it's giving me a headache now, as you can tell. It's just it's one thing you just don't need the headache with. It just it's just not worth the hassle because it starts throwing the whole document off. Well, anyway, let's say you did change that to Roman numerals. What you could do, if let's say all the titles are the same, it hasn't changed. You can just go on here and update field, look, and then you can do page numbers only. So it'll only update. So let's say that would turn that to Roman numeral if it has changed to a numeral here. Or if you've added chapters or moved them around, you can then update the entire table. So it's a choice to make. Now, look, some people might not like that it's not page 1 here, but I mean, it's what it is. I'm happy enough for the author's note to be page 1, to be totally honest. That isn't worth my hassle right now. If I was doing it from scratch, because I haven't, for me, what it is, it could throw everything off. If I do it now, having printed the book, and then go back and just change something so simple that it's not even really hardly noticeable to most people, it could have a knock-on effect all over the book. And I just, at this stage, I'm not risking the hassle of all of it, to be totally honest. At this stage, the book's finished, it's printed. That's how it's going to be. But as you can see there, even me like picking up on something there is an issue. So anyway, we've done the book, we've done all that. Then you're going to want to, I'm not going to go here because you can see all my file names to all the things I'm working on and stuff, and I'm not going to show that either. But you would go and you can save it as a Office document, or there's an export button. Do that and you can do a PDF. So then you can submit the PDF as your file to the bookstores. I mean, I can't remember if I normally do the PDF. I think I do because PDFs help keep it conformed. In the past, I've used Word, and sometimes the formatting of Word can cause the book publishing software to throw my chapters out all over the place. So where I like to keep it on the right-hand side, sometimes the software would then make my chapters go all over the place. So one's on the left, one's on the right, and I don't like that. So then I have to go and fix it all again. Whereas if you use a PDF, it tends to stick quite strict to the pages that you've given it. So I would suggest uploading a PDF. But obviously you have to make sure the font's embedded as well. It's just little tick boxes you have to do on the PDF side of things. Anyway, that's that. Then so we've done the manuscript, we've done the book to a degree. I can only do so much, you know. Yeah. And then we've got the book cover. This here is a template. Now, this is an old version of Photoshop. I'm not doing the subscription crap that I do nowadays. I don't get caught up in all that. It's too expensive. So you got an old version of Photoshop. Works fine. Does everything I need it to do. Now, this is, if you go on, it doesn't even matter if you're with KDP, like Amazon or not. I mean, you can probably get the tool. You can use the tool anyway. It doesn't matter where you create your book. And what you do, you give them the size of your book. So you pick the size of the book, and then you say how many pages your book is. And then they'll give you a template for it. And they'll ask, like, is it paperback, hardback, and all that. And what it does, it makes sure you know all the grid lines. So we know to keep it in, keep all your text in this white box and the images. Make sure your best bits are here, because otherwise it could bleed over, it could bend in, it could have all sorts of issues. So what you can do here, eventually, what you do, you do the fill button on the right hand side here. I don't know how much you can see me doing, but you can bring it in. Let's say I do half fill. Now you can start seeing the cover I've got. So yeah, so we're just fading it in so you can see. Now, once you go to publish it and save it, you're obviously going to want to make sure it's hidden, hide it. You don't want to be printing that information, so we just hide it now. We don't need it anymore. And then this is just what I've done. You know, I make a box to the left there. I've started making the title, duplicate the title over here, make a little smaller mini version of it. Put my face there. You know, you can do all sorts of that. I could have done a border around the outside, I suppose, if I wanted to go a little bit further there. Put my name, put the title on the spine, of course, and then try our best to keep it in here. But this is why I use all these little rulers, because they're useful. All you do with a ruler is you get the measurement thing. There's there's a ruler around it. You just drag these this, and it'll make a white line, look, a blue line, I mean, and it helps keep things in check. So, like for instance, where I've got this box, look, I could do this. See where I've got the box. I could do this if I wanted to, just to make sure the box is in line. These are just little things you can do. It won't print the boxes. It won't print these lines. It just keeps everything manageable, so you can sort of get the distances and make sure everything's good. But yeah, I didn't really need that, and I'm probably going to confuse myself with those lines, to be totally honest. But I'll keep it there for now. I just won't save it, because I don't need those lines there. But as you can see, we're just doing that. And it's like trial and error sometimes with the font styles we want to use, how we're going to design it. Sometimes like I've trial and error other bits of information on the covers, but sometimes I think personally you put too much information on it, it just gets too confusing, draws people away from the message. So, yeah. Anyway, so I just use that and then I just create my cover the way I do it. I often mirror the front or I take the color. So the color picker to the left here. Let's say I was making, let's say I just wanted this to be a background. Let's say I didn't want to use anything from here and I just want this to be a background. I could just do a square box here, just draw a square box over the line. Look, I can just do it up to the margin if I wanted to. Let's say I did it up to, yeah, let's say I did it up to this margin. Obviously not going to use it. You go over the page because it's bled anyway. It's not even going to be printed. Now we've got orange. And I could just get your color picker here and pick anywhere on here. Look. Wait a minute. It's not, all right, I've got to pick the right. So I'm get on my screen, I've got the color picker. You're not seeing it. Here it is. So I've just got to look at this little bit here and think, am I happy with that? Let's say I want it a bit darker. Okay, let's say I went with that one. Oh, it's not doing it. Wait a minute. That's because I ain't done it on this one. Wait a minute. I've done it wrong. That's probably why it weren't changing. That's what I wanted to do. So it's from this one, not from that. And then we just go whatever color I think looks cool. So I'd say arguing that one actually looks quite nice. So let's say I hadn't gone with my one. And then all we're doing is dragging this box further down the page until it starts to blend in. But there's all sorts of things you can do with it. You know, you don't have to just do that. But yeah, I'm going to get rid of that one now because we don't need it. But that would have been quite nice as well. Look, that dark color, I think. I like that. But, you know, it's just something I've just done. Or what you can do, I like to do a lot of the time, is mirror this page here. I tend to just mirror over. Wait a minute, I've got something going on here. It's just, wait a minute, it's gone mental. I think it's this. Yeah. I had this one because I was noticing the title was going funny. I had to look at my cover to make sure there was none of that mirroring because I thought, what the hell? Yeah. But it's actually, that's the important part. I think you see this cover here, you see all the manuscript, and you see all the other thing, and then it creates this. You know, it's just that. You know, if you go back to the top, it showed us where the barcode was going to be. So you just make sure you don't cover any text around that barcode, and the barcode gets printed. Same thing. Glossy looks nice. And like I say, all the spacing and things, all the spacing looks pretty cool. So that's all, you know. That's that's the whole process I do. So I use Scrivener to write. We use Grammarly to help spruce it, fix, you know, enhance the work just a little bit. Then we go over to Word, spend the whole day messing about there, or a good few hours. As you saw there with that footer thing, I can't be asked with it, to be totally honest. And then spend some time coming up with a title, create a cover. It's quite fun in the end. I mean, it stresses me before I start doing it because predominantly my work is the writing, isn't it? And then you think, oh. And then you latch onto an idea and then you go, oh, yeah, okay, that's what I want. That's the vision I have. And then, yeah, and then we just create these and then we create a PDF file. This is what you want. I think it's a PDF file we want for this. I'm sure it is. PDF, PNG. I don't think it's PNG. I think it's a PDF file. Anyway, the platform will say what they want. I'm pretty sure it's PDF. And you'll do that. Make sure, again, if there's embedded fonts, if it offers that, embed the fonts. That way you get the best picture quality. Try and get the highest quality you can within the file limit size. And then you submit it. And then that's the whole process. You got bit. So yeah. Hopefully that's been helpful to people. Like I said, I mean, I can't show the process of writing at the minute. The book I'm doing at the moment, the one I'm currently working on, is on the Mac. I don't think I can get it really. To be honest, I don't think it'd come up on my camera if you saw what I'm actually doing. I don't think it would come up. To be totally honest, but now I can't even log in. I don't want to give too much away. But if we look at what have I done so far? Hmm. Whether I'm going to print all this at the minute, I'm not sure. But surprised I've done that much so far, to be totally honest. It says I've done 24,000 words. I'm not sure how accurate that is at the minute. I'd have to go through my work. But yeah, so that if it's just if hopefully this helps. This is the book I'm working on now that I expect to come out in July. Oh look, it's freaking hell, man. Right, we're gonna have to do it like that. Yeah, there is text there. It's just not come. Oh no, ain't bloody text. Wait, where the hell's that gone? Have I just deleted it? Oh, it's a new document I've just made. Why did I do that? Hope. Oh, I can't touch the trackpad. Oh, for Christ. Oh, mate, is it done it again? Okay. Because of the lighting from my camera, I can't do it. But as you can see though, we've got the text here, and then I've also got these blues here because these are the ones I'm currently working on. And then eventually they'll go yellow because I'll be happy enough with them, perhaps, or they'll go green if I really finish. And then I know I've got these other chapters to work on, and I can move them around, do what I want. But it's still a lot of work to go, as you can tell there. There's work to be done on this. Yeah. But as you can see here, the chapter's got a lot worked on it. I think this chapter here, if I could talk about that, it's 1,000 words so far, just that one there. But yeah, the whole process begins again, when you start a new book. Some people finish on one book. They fulfilled a goal and it's not their passion to keep doing it. With me, it's a passion, so I keep doing it. But like for me, I don't know if I was going to, after these, I've got 2 books coming out next. I've spoke about it enough times. But honestly, I don't know if there's going to be any more after. I had books I've got in development I could release later, but I'm not even sure I want to. Because it has to add value. So if I don't think it's adding anything to my sort of legacy or the work I'm doing, or it helps people, there's no point me releasing them. I'm not doing it for the sake of it. It's a lot of work each book. But these are the 2 that come next. Freedom and Politics is next, and then we've got A Star Is Born. So one's society and things, and the other one's spirituality. And once they're done, my writing journey may be complete for a period. But that's my journey. So it's that whole process we've shown between this, and this. I've had to do twice. I've got to do twice, but I've already done the cover designs. So I've really saved myself the hassle here. I've got the 2 cover designs done. So all I have to do is use that template again. Let's say it's a similar page count. I can just use the same template and then just use what I've done, and then I'll just wrap it to the spine and then the back. So really, my covers are sorted. That process, it's just get the work done now when I want to. I mean, I've only just recently released Follow Your Dreams to Sparkle Your Soul here. So, I mean, that only happened into January. So I'm not like in a major rush to put everything on the line for this book. If you've seen my latest video, I'm taking a break. I'm taking a break from all of it at the moment. I'm not seeing results and I'm tired. So, of course, if there was things happening, then great, then I'd be inspired. But at the moment, I just want to, if it's just for me, I'm just going to have a break for a bit. I mean, because this is it is exhausting. I don't think people realize how exhausting it is to create as much stuff created over the years. Especially when you don't always, the thing is, you don't always get the tangible reward at the end. So you have to, so I think that's what it is. If you do one book and you don't see the success from it, it can demotivate you. Like, it might make you think it's not worth it, but then it's a question of why you did it in the first place. If it's just to make yourself proud, you feel proud, that's good. Because it doesn't devalue it, even if you don't do any more. But if you've got something burning desire in yourself that you want to create and you want to do this, you'll do it even without the money. And that's what I've done. And I've done a lot without the money. Believe me, I've done a lot. So I've done 7 so far, like I said, and then soon, eventually, there'll be 9. And that's been a huge commitment for myself. And it has taken a toll on me immensely, like financially, yeah. And the finances, again, it takes a lot of stress, but it also does limit other aspects of our life, doesn't it? Our opportunities, our ability to travel, have nice things, even just get through from month to month. The struggle is real. And I think that's one side I think people don't see as well. The struggle to investing ourselves. And again, the whole process, And some people don't, so when we talk about at the beginning there, when that guy was a bit, it might be a bit cringe and he's only done it self-published. It's pretty cool to do it self-published. Look at the whole process. See the format inside I showed with Word, and then the Photoshop side to do your cover. And then, of course, you've got the publication side where you have the admin work to communicate with Amazon. I've had to liaise with Amazon over issues and things as well. And I've had to talk to them personally. They're good. Their customer service is great. So I see that as a skill. Like if you was traditionally published, I'm not saying it's easy, but by a long shot, you'd be liaising. It'll be a slower process, but you'd have an editor that goes through the edit phase. So it saves you an awful lot of work. Of course, you'd have to rectify it and confirm things, but you wouldn't have to do the Word stuff where I've had to format the manuscript and design it all myself like that. You wouldn't have had done that. The publisher would take care of that. And then the cover design, the publisher would do. So you'd only have to do the writing and then update with the edits that you're giving back as feedback. So it's definitely a lot easier for someone self-published because they're doing half the work. They might not like the sound of that, but they are. They're doing half the work. They're not doing half the things I'm doing. I'm not saying it's easier because they've got the pressure then from an external third party who has extra demands and expectations that might not even match your vision. But if you've sold your rights to a degree, you're going to be held to whatever narrative they want to fit. So it swings and roundabouts. I'm not saying what's better or what's worse. I quite like having the freedom in my life, to be totally honest, to do what I want. I don't really like conforming too much. Again, like I've said before, doesn't mean I wouldn't work with a publisher, but it has to match my vision. It's got to be mutually beneficial, isn't it? So, yeah, I'm happy with what I've done, and this is just how I create. I've probably missed some things, but it's like, again, each to their own. As we saw with that girl, she's printing books to write all over them, and may have to print another one. For me, it's just such a process that wouldn't work for me. I would much rather, for instance, done my manuscript. This is what I would have done. If we go, I can't get the other one open, can I? Can I do it here? Let's say there was an issue with this chapter, and I thought, oh, okay, I'm not happy with that word, or this is fragmented, or you've not done the grammar's a mess. There's no full stops. You haven't done the commas, or you've done this sentence. You've typed so fast. You've missed letters and all sorts of stuff. Then I would either read it here, or if I didn't think it was helping me, like I'm not picking things up, I'd read it on my Kindle. So you would just get the Kindle, and then I would read it back. Like, oh God, wait a minute, that's tongue-tied, or that's repeating, or I don't like the sound of that, or this is a problem. Then I'd have to just, I'd probably sit down comfortably, but I'd have to if you keep getting up, you might as well sit by wherever you'll make it right in the book. So I would have it on my laptop. So I'd probably just sit on a sofa, read, and then eventually, if I'm reading it so much and editing, I would probably just start reading from the manuscript in the first place and just drop the Kindle and just work again from the writing there. But the reality is, by the time someone receives a copy of their book to start writing on it, I would have had my chapter finished, greenlit it, and I'd probably have about 6 or 7 greenlit by the time that book even comes and they're editing it. So it's just a process. And then by the time they've done all their little edits in the book, my book would have been completely finished. Because it's too much sodding about. It's just, again, I know it's exciting if you're just starting out your book, but when the whole point is to get your book finished, I think streamlining it as best you can is going to be really helpful. Why add an extra month to your work? Why add even an extra few weeks? It took you long enough to get there. So again, I get mine done very quick because I work in a very optimal way, and that works for me. So, I can do loads. When I'm focused, I can do loads. I can do anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 words a day. So if you was doing 5,000 words a day, 10 days, 50,000 words, you've done a book. You can do a book in 10 days, really, couldn't you, if you worked at that rate, 5,000 words a day. But of course, then you've got to edit it, you've got to fine tune it. You'll probably find sections of that is absolute crap and you don't like it. So then all of a sudden your word count drops. Now you've got to find where the holes are, what you think needs to be added. So it's not a case of, the 50,000 words you do is gold. No, it's not. You're going to have to fine tune it. You're going to have to be prepared to lose stuff. I've already shown I'll lose stuff. I've chucked loads of chapters, loads of work here. That'd be another book. That could easily be another book. And I'll go through it later on at some point. At some point, I'll start going through it and figure out, is there a book there? Is there something I want to tell from this? and I'll decide. But right now, that's not the case because I'm working on a completely different book, and the next two books are completely irrelevant to that. And I just think, when I think about personal growth, have I shared enough about personal growth? Because that's what those books were. There's four. Do I feel there needs to be a fifth one on personal growth? I don't think so. I think perhaps if I see tangible success and there's a breakthrough in my life, I think sharing that would be a good fifth book to a personal growth story. But I just think in terms of things in our life, setting boundaries and all those different things, I don't think I need to speak about that again. So anyway, that's my take on, right. I know it's been quite long and I'm not sure I've covered everything I would love to cover, but there's only so much we can discuss, I think. I haven't shown the publication side going on to KDP. That's something people just have to learn a little bit. Again, trial and error. Be patient with yourself if you're new to something. It's all a learning experience, But again, we get better at things as time goes on, don't we? But that's just my way of doing it. And the thing is, I wouldn't look to do it any other way because it works for me and it's worked for me so many times that I can get things done quick. So even if someone suggested something else, I've got my way of working now. I don't need to touch it. If I was writing a novel, I'd be open to people's ideas because I haven't done a novel. I've only done from like non-fiction working from life. But so for my ability to work off create a manuscript on Scrivener, there's no faster way than what I do. And the way I edit is a lot faster than most people. I'm just mental, I'll just do it. I'll just get on with it. Bosh, 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 bosh. Not sodding about. Let's just get this thing done. I want it once I finish a book, I want that book printed. I don't want to make this last any longer than it has to. I just need to get it focused. Sodding about with a book and starting to write all in it, for me, is a very long-winded way of getting something done that needs to be finished. I'd rather have the thing in my hand when I'm ready to read it, like I said before, So anyway, yeah, everyone is each their own. Some people enjoy the whole process, so they'd like to savour it, So maybe they do enjoy it. Maybe they like the whole thing and they can take a year. I don't take a year to write a book. For me, predominantly, it's about 3 months. But even can be quicker than that. It really depends on the content and how complicated it is for me in terms of my knowledge and all those things. But for what I'm writing, I can do them in 3 months turnaround. So from the moment I start the first blank page to the time it gets printed, 3 months ish. And when I hear someone say I've got a book and it's took me 15 years or something, I'm like, bloody, how can it take 15 years to write a book? It doesn't even make sense to me. Even if it's a novel, I could do. I haven't even done a novel, but I've had ideas and I've toyed with them. I've got little concepts in my Kindle where I've wrote, even if it's like 15 pages or something, something I've just messed with, but not set on a definite topic. But like if I was writing a novel, I think personally, if I was writing, in a worst case scenario, probably 2 years. That's if you're really trying to have to flesh out the world, the lore, trying to the characters, trying to make sure I'm definitely happy with this. Maybe I've got to visit locations to get the feel for it. So that's the only reason it would potentially take a long period. But I can't see for the life of me why it would take you 14 years to tell a story. That's, I don't get it. I don't want to put people down because I know that's how some people are, but it's just, that's too long. That's far too long. It shouldn't take you your lifetime to write a trilogy, for instance. Look at J.K. Rowling. It didn't take her a lifetime to write 7, 8 books, whatever many books it is, 6, 7, 8. But I don't know how many there are. So, yeah, I mean, again, you could argue people at the top. Some people at the top of their field, it's easier, but yeah, it just shouldn't need to take that long. I don't like being rude, but I just think if someone's took 14 years, I'd be more wary of someone that takes 14 years to write a book in terms of the quality of their work than someone who's managed to do it far quicker. Because I think you get momentum. The more you're invested in it and you take it serious and you're just focused, you're going to be, I think it's going to be curated more. If something's took so long and there's spaces all between here, I reckon the book will be fragmented, personally. And for me, it reveals a lack of confidence as well. And I think that would seep into the work. And I think perhaps it'd be disjointed. So if someone said, "Oh, I've done this and it's took 15 years," no reason you shouldn't be proud, but I'd be a bit more skeptical that way. Why has it took that long? And again, I'm not trying to be horrible here because everybody has their own thing. If it's a personal book, again, it could be dealing with trauma and you're not ready to process that trauma. I get it. But then I wouldn't suggest you've been working on it for 15 years. I'd say you've probably been healing for 15 years. How long have you actually been writing it? well, I really just started it a year or so ago. That's how long you was working on a book then. You know, because some people hide behind that. They think, oh, I thought of an idea and you never did anything with that idea. And then maybe you only started it 2 years ago and they'll say, I've been working on this 15 years. No, you haven't. You come up with an idea 15 years ago. You've only been working on it for 2 years. So I think that's the thing that people get a bit, they exaggerate it because I think they think it makes them sound better. And it's like, it doesn't sound better to me. Again, I don't want to seem arrogant, but again, everyone's going to have their opinion left, right, and centre, aren't they? But anyway, I've shared how I do mine. I've done it before in the past. I'm not going to be creating content for a bit, so I just didn't want to gatekeep. I like to help people.